Enforcer for a price. When they first came back, the prices, some, we weren't sure if tax had been included, another one had tax included, so the code enforcer contacted these companies again, asked for, for prices without taxes, and we got 3 prices, the lowest one being for dirt and demolition guys of $1,309.
And they have insurance?
And do they have insurance? Have we used, Lana?
We
do
have
you-
used them
we've
before, so I'm
used-
going to assume that they do.
Haven't used them this year, so we'll just have to make sure that their certificate is still valid.
Right.
And if not, we'll contact them.
If it's not, we'll come back.
Okay.
Okay. The hazard mitigation plan. Actually, Paul, I think I need to give you just a correction of 2 pages, if you could replace pages 3 and 4. We have been, all the towns in Putnam County have been meeting with Putnam County Emergency Management to develop a hazard mitigation plan, which the ultimate goal is to, work cooperatively and also to basically make it easier for towns in case of, emergencies to apply for FEMA funding. And so we have been working on this draft, which will be part of the greater hazard mitigation plan that the county submits to FEMA. This is just our annex, and, it's taken a lot to get a lot of this together, and we've kind of involved many departments in the town into getting these together. The point of this is, published for comment. It's not in its final form, so that, we tried to do and get as much information as possible, but we could, even if we basically approve the submission of this annex to Putnam County for publication, we could still make any changes that we felt necessary to make. But it's really the first step in our being able to join, under the umbrella of the county, to establish a plan and to ultimately get funding.
I mean, I know this is kind of dry. I'm inclined to vote no on this, and the reason has nothing to do with the hard work of, I'm sure, everybody putting the plan together. It just seems like, as always, it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, a lot of effort to really get to know, good end. I don't know what this is exactly going to accomplish. And I would also note that in here, there's a section which states that per the town's comprehensive plan, which is, I think, 2008, the town is working on developing a capital plan. I've been here a year. I haven't been involved in working on any capital plan. I know of no such capital plan underway, so I don't know that that's something we're doing, and I don't feel comfortable saying it's something we're doing. And then also, there's this land use planning section that says that we should be adopting a hillside protection ordinance, a ridgeline protection ordinance, and we should discount the area of land based on the size of the slope for it to be developed. And I probably, without further review, wouldn't support any of those propositions, so I just don't feel like I'm comfortable putting my name on something which, just seems to be very big government and very, additional regulations for this, additional laws for that, all in the name of mitigation and safety, and it just seems like it's the same old stuff that I don't like. So for that reason, I will vote no. I know we're not ready to vote.
But you're preemptively
late, yeah.
voting, okay. Any other discussion?
I think there's some very strong facts in here and some strong comments that we do need to take into consideration. And I was here when we, oh my God, I don't want to say how long ago it was, because I feel like I'm getting so old. But with the steep slopes and environmental issues for the protection of mostly protection of lakes. So I think that we do have to look into this, and there's some I haven't had a whole lot of time to really study this, but I know in the past, whenever FEMA was involved, it was mind-boggling, and I think that something like this might make the process easier for towns to get FEMA money, where in the past it's been very difficult. It's painstaking. It's very drawn out, and in the end, you have to wonder if it's really worth it. And so many times you're at the very end, you're given encouragement, and at the very end you're told no. So I think I would like to think that maybe this would warrant our attention, and there might be some aspects of it that would be very important to our town. So I'm not going to vote no. I don't know what I'm going
Well,
to
and also, I mean, there is,
We'll figure it
You
out.
had me hopeful at first. Like your introduction was like, I'm with Paul, and then Paul was thrown under the bus sometime at the end.
well, and as, as I said previously, we can amend any part that we want. It's just, it's under the heading in unity there's strength, and if we join with the county and the other towns, and I believe at this point, we might either be the last town or the second to last town to submit our annex, but this has been, a project we've kind of been working on the entire year. And with regards to the future planning mechanisms, I mean, that was drawn basically from the comprehensive plan. If we don't want to have a ridgeline protection ordinance, which at this point I know we've never discussed with this board, and I'm not sure what form that would even take, but I mean, we could amend, we could.
Right, we may even want to discuss it with the planning board and see what their, how they feel about this.
Have they reviewed this, the planning board?
I sent, when we originally were given kind of what was needed to complete this form, I sent it to the planning board, I sent it to building, I sent it to the town clerk. Everybody that kind of could fill in a piece filled in what they could. So, yeah, the planning board hasn't seen it in its final form, but the planning board was made aware of this
Because I certainly
process.
would like to know what their look on this is.
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with the county on this, we've worked with the, the consultant that was hired by the county to pull this all together. I've had, Bill Walters, our building/sewer inspector, and now I think he's also the National Floodplains chair or something. So, this doesn't really commit us to anything. It's a fluid document, but I think if going forward, it helps us get grant funding. The work's already been done. I don't see a problem with it. But I respect your opinion. Bill, do you want to?
No, I will vote yes.
Okay.
Having
No,
having been in the public sector, and you got to cross your Ts, dot your Is. Might not agree with some of the things in this, but God forbid if certain things come down, we want to make sure we can get as much funding as possible.
Make sure we're in line, absolutely.
And it's part of the, I see where Paul's coming from, it's part of the bureaucracy, but after working 38 years in the system, and knowing that all this paperwork and stuff gets filed, and then after a few years up in Albany and Washington, it does get lost, I'll guarantee that, it has. But it's also, there's a checklist, and I want to make sure that that check for the town of Kent is on there. God forbid if any type of FEMA situation comes in, I want to be on the top of the board to make sure that we get as much money as possible. I keep on thinking about the Lake Carmel Dam, and when that went years ago, what the damage it did to the Lake Carmel area and down near Ryan's Park. Let's be ready. It's another bureaucratic item, to a point. It's a checklist, and let's make sure the town of Kent's got that check on that side.
You know, just to wrap it up real quick, there's a lot of stuff in here that could possibly help us. I didn't come across anything that I thought would hurt us. So,
But I don't think it's gonna hurt. It's to me, it's slightly comical that we need like a brief history saying we have the tallest, fire tower in the region to get, help funding if we get a giant flood. It just seems like, and then every town has a section saying the supervisor acts as the chief executive officer. Well, that's true for every town in
It's
the entire
boilerplate.
state.
Some of it's boilerplate.
It's like that's what the federal government needs to help us if there's a flood. They need a section saying that every town. It just seems so, it's consultant driven. I tell you that, and it just doesn't seem like
Yes.
if they really wanted to get us money and there's a real emergency, this won't help at all. People, being reasonable will help.
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
I'm a
And the
reasonable
last-
person.
Item on the workshop agenda, other than public comment, town liability insurance. You want to talk about this, Paul?
Yeah, I remember it was about this time last year we put out the RFP. I think it was a good idea. I think the town board acknowledged it saved us money. We drafted ourselves, we approved it ourselves. We don't have one in front of us here. But besides changing the date and setting the dates as we did last year, I think it would be a good idea. We have a meeting next week. I think if we could basically put in the year 2015 and put the same exact dates out, we can see if we can, get another suitor for our insurance. I know we're coming up against a deadline. We were coming up against the deadline last year, but since we don't actually have to draft anything because it's all there, we all reviewed it less than a year ago, I think changing the dates and setting it out next week would be a good idea.
I disagree. I think we did it. It hasn't even been a year yet. Why would we go out again? I think if we get an RFP and we get a company that's working with us and we accepted that company, that they should be good for at least 2 to 3 years. I don't think we should go out every year for insurance. I don't think it's fair to the people who have to submit. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. And I think last year was a difficult. I know Lana and I had a difficult time waiting for what we thought was going to be another bid coming in, which never did come in. I just don't see the purpose of going out every year for an RFP for insurance.
I absolutely believe in RFPs, and I mean, certainly we've done, a number of them, and I think we will do more. I don't know if we necessarily have to RFP every year. And I think that with this one, I think we're almost too late, because I know last year, I went back over, the minutes to see how we are time-wise. And last year, at the meeting on February 4th, the beginning of February, we authorized the town clerk to advertise for brokers, and we had insurance brokers. We had a questionnaire to see if they were qualified. And then at the meeting on the 25th, we had a resolution that we selected 2 brokers to quote, with the caveat that if a third broker who had approached us, came in by such and such a date, they were allowed to quote too. And then we opened the bids on the 21st of March. We awarded it on the 1st, and our insurance started on April 8th. And I know last year with this time frame, we had brokers complaining to us that this was too short a period to quote. And ultimately, the only quote we had was from the only bid we had was from our current insurer. We ended up saving money, which was, wonderful. But I don't know if we have enough of a window for anybody else to even come forward at this point. I mean, I know that was a major issue last year, it was too short a time.
I got to take another angle here. We did this last year. I think we saved the town $40,000. And I believe when we were working on the workman's comp and that went out, spent a lot of time on that, we were going to give this another year. So I would like to see this put out again for next year earlier, to address the following year. I'm looking at several items that we need to address, agenda items and stuff, and I drive the town supervisor crazy because I'll submit 15 and maybe I'll get one, because there's just so much going on. Highway alone, the various issues of the Littlefield Causeway, traffic safety. We had another serious accident on that intersection up there. There are so many things going on. The security of this campus, I want to try to improve security of this campus. So there's a whole lot of topics, but I'm not leaving the insurance alone. Next year, I would encourage doing that and doing it early.
Yeah.
And do it in early. But I believe when we were talking, and I don't know if the minutes, you can check the minutes, but in November, December, around there, we were doing this workman's comp thing, and there was some discussion, and as far as a bid for the regular liability insurance, I think we were going to give it another year. And some of the items that I've done and working on, historic preservation, it's all time consuming. And I think we took a good chunk of savings, and we did a great job, and we'll get ready for next year and do that again. And I mean, that's my opinion. There are so many things we want to see to continue to change and improve the town of Kent. And I think we've made some really good progress, and we will be doing a lot more progress on other topics and other needs to save money. Thank you.
So how do we, I mean, I think
that's the end of it.
yeah, I mean, I think bidding it out next year is a great idea. I think bidding things out every couple of years keeps everybody on their toes, and it's
The
certainly...
one thing too, and this is where I get to public safety and employee safety, and I want to know, I need to get down to see the highway department, sanitation, but the safety programs that I hear that's being initiated in the last 2 years since Mr. Othmer's been in there. What kind of safety programs is our chief of police? The security and the safety here. I spent some time with a really dear person to my heart, and she works in the basement. Won't get into her name, but I think many of you know her. I just wanted to know, do you feel safe down here? And she told me yes, and then showed me another door, which I never knew. There's another exit door to this basement here, but I was concerned about that.